See the church that we came up by? Right down there on the right?
Yeah.
My house would be to the left of it. Well, you can see, you could actually, we've got some film where you actually could drive on the road after a blast and track the clouds of dust and stuff that come up into the air. And of course, to see the earth heaving that close to you is just, that in itself is not a pretty picture. And you don't like it. It's like being, at one point in time, we call this little Baghdad. We don't appreciate it in a war zone. For God's sakes, how could we appreciate it where people live? What you see going down the road now is the Austin Powder truck that carries blasting materials. We went through the blasting, etc., for approximately 8 months or so, and in 2006, in May of 2006, they filed for bankruptcy in a federal court in Texas.
Has it been like that since then?
Absolutely.
It's just been sitting there?
Just sitting there. Prospect Energy, which is listed on NASDAQ, invested several $1 million in this venture. I'm sure they're not bankrupt. The permit wasn't closed out and no reclamation was done.
So where are we right now?
We are in the little community of Stevens, Virginia. It's in Wise County, about 2 miles outside the town of Wise. In the Stevens community, we turned and come up by the Stevens Free Will Baptist Church. Take a look at what we might be able to see. Dwayne Morgan Properties surface mine permit, an area of about 80 acres that was permitted. So we can see what it looks like when they suddenly just find themselves bankrupt and walk off and leave it. It is extremely hard for me to believe that people are cold enough that they make a calculated decision that in order for me to become more wealthy, I can destroy those people. One of the reasons why it's so hard for me to reconcile, can they be that cold? Can they be that hard-hearted? I justify that by saying it's outsiders who are doing this to us. And in our case, it was. It would be even worse if someone in our community owned that company and did it to us. The community would tar and feather them. We have an incident in our community here whereby a rock was thrown through the roof of a double-wide home. You see, they blast it during the day up until dusk at night, and then they're running all this really heavy equipment, huge pieces of equipment, and there will be huge rocks and huge amounts of soil and dirt, and they're moving that to push it down slope. I can show you a picture that was on the front page of a newspaper article of even the outside of our homes, how bad it was. A picture of my fingers running across the windowsill on the outside of our home. So you have to work so hard for what you have in the area that you found yourself in. And when you do that, it is devastating to have someone else to come along and destroy that. Now, others, including legislators, legal minds, they all argue that this is not mountaintop removal, that we don't even allow it. No matter what title we put on, it is the destruction that is being wrought. And it affects every aspect of our life. It affects our water supplies, our creeks, our branches that feed into creeks, that feed into rivers, that feed into lakes, that feed into oceans. I think the mountains for us is like somebody that holds us. I think there is a psychological feeling of that. And the way I described it here once is we did have two mountains. And if we could say that was like somebody that would put their arms around us and hold us, then what they did was to dynamite off or blast away one of those arms. And there's no doubt in my mind that they wouldn't blast both away if they could.
There's no commitment to the future. We've elevated the rights of corporations in this country far beyond the rights of individuals, communities, or even a respect for the earth. And I guess once it's done, perhaps the reason that it's so depressing is you don't really have a great deal of faith that it could be put back. It can be reclaimed, it can be sprayed with grass, and we can leave rocks lying all over the hillsides, but we'll never, I don't think we can restore it to what it once was. I think it's just another one gone. It's pitiful to think that you will have to spend your lifetime fending off people who think such ways. You know, we should spend our lives doing good things, making things. Somebody asked me once why I found this so disturbing, and I said, well, I'm not the kind of person who destroys things. I'd rather make things instead of tear things up. I'd rather fix things and build things, and so I just don't understand people who think that it's okay to just destroy everything and then walk off and leave it.
In the beginning, I didn't want anybody filming me because this story is not about me. This story is about what is going on. It's about an energy policy in this country. Wise County did not need a coal-fired electric plant because it will only promote the further destruction, the blowing up of our mountains. In this conversation about where this nation gets its energy, the part that's left out of that conversation appears to me to be communities like ours, where you are simply blowing up our mountains.
Me and my friend used to joke that we'd be able to come out our back door one morning and we'd be able to see the State House in Charleston because they was going to flatten everything from here to there so we could see that far. But we hope they don't do that.
Why we can't be inspired to reach out to our fellow man, because essentially what this is if it's happening to me today, it's going to be my neighbor tomorrow, it'll be our next door state neighbor, next week. And they will do this all over this country. Any place they can find coal.